There are mainly two types of financial aid: merit-based and need-based.
Oh hi, welcome back and thank you for being back. We hope you've been enjoying our content as yet. In today's video, we will be covering the part 2 of the Scholarship Guide series. In case you've missed out on part 1, we request you to go back and watch our previous video given in the description box so that you can connect much better to this video.
Merit-based aid is provided in the form of a scholarship and grants, which are based on the student's academic performance and merit. Need-based aid is based on the student's need or lack of financial resources. There are two types of need-based aids, the first being from the government and the second from the college itself. On one side, we have the FAFSA, an application for federal aid. The direct result of application translates into a Pell Grant, a lump sum, some scholarship that need not be paid back to the government. This grant is given primarily to low-income families and ranges up to about $6,200.
One of the secondary implications of the FAFSA is the EFC, or Expected Family Contribution, that is calculated for you every year. The FAFSA requires some information about family income, wages, taxes paid, assets, and so on. The EFC, as I talked about, basically just values the amount of money that your family should be expected to pay for college every year. For an extremely low income family, the EFC would be 0. While for a high-income family, the EFC would be the total cost of attendance. Some colleges refer to this EFC value to determine how much aid they want to give to students, which makes the FAFSA application even more important.
Similar to FAFSA, there is a concept called the CSS profile. Now, CSS profile is something which has been introduced by the College Board, the same people who introduced the SAT. But there is a huge difference between CSS profile and FAFSA. CSS profile really goes deep down into your financial background. How many properties do you own? What is the market value of that property? Do you have any 401ks? Do you run any businesses? Are you part of a partner or some part of some business? What are your holdings out there? What is the percentage of holdings? And all this information actually is something that most of the colleges prefer. So compared to FAFSA and CSS profile, you will see most of the colleges offering scholarships will be looking for your CSS profile.
Both the FAFSA and the CSS are universal and do not require modification to be sent to different colleges. However, there are 3 things you need to keep in mind regarding both of these. 1. The FAFSA can be corrected after submission, but the CSS cannot. Once you're done with the FAFSA, you can update it any number of times after you've submitted it. But once you submit the CSS, you cannot change it. And the only way to suggest any more corrections is to directly email these corrections to the college. Second, it is extremely necessary that you file the FAFSA and the CSS applications as soon as possible. Some colleges have priority submission dates for financial aid, and you don't want to lose any chances of getting more aid. 3. The FAFSA is free but can only be sent to 10 colleges at a time. An easy fix for this is to add your first 10 colleges and submit the FAFSA. Once you receive a confirmation email, you edit the FAFSA and add the second list of 10 colleges. The CSS, on the other hand, allows you to send it to as many colleges as possible. However, you do have to pay fees for every college you send it to.
These are not just looking for students who are fantastic in their academics. They're actually looking for different facets of a student's life. Is the student associated with some extracurricular activities? Is he associated with some social cause? What are his hobbies? Is he into entrepreneurship mode? What else is he doing beyond academics becomes extremely important. since it's so competitive in getting scholarship, that every single part of your life becomes an open book for the university.
The importance of this part is to show the scholarship community that you're not just a student who studies for exams and gets good marks. You are a person with your own unique hobbies and interests that make you unique and something that the scholarship community would want in their college. In my case, I have extracurricular experience in the form of several years of experience in classical singing and playing the harmonium. I've worked with a company to educate preschool students on different topics. I've been awarded the Times of India Student of the Year award and so on.
Associated with your community, associated with doing some kind of a social service project becomes extremely important for universities in the US. They really want to say, do you even care about your community? Are you part of some Rotary Club program? Are you part of Lions Club? Are you doing something for the community?
Ever since I was a child, community service has been a major part of my life. My parents and now I are members of the Rotary International, a community service organization. I've been involved in fundraisers, marathons, blood donation drives, and so on. I've planted trees, I've participated in lake cleaning initiatives, and there's basically a lot of stuff I've done to make the community, society, and environment a better place.
Hello, my name is Anil Kale and my daughter is presently studying at the University of Alabama, pursuing her undergrad studies in computer science. My son is studying in 10th class at a CBC school in Nasik. I was actively involved in my daughter's preparation for her journey from Nasik to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I'm currently working with my son and helping him with his aspirations to study at his dream university in the US. Based on my exposure to the process, I have to share with you three perspectives. First is, why should you study in the US? Now this is a question for both, for the student and for the parent. Now how should you answer this question as a student? Be very honest to yourself and in a very objective way, place yourself on an academic excellence spectrum. We'll call them category A, B and C. So A would be if you are below average or average, B would be if you are good, and C would be if you are excellent. So category A, B and C. I'm referring to them as A, B and C because I would be referring to it a few times later. So now when it comes to the question as to why should I go and study my undergrad in the US? And let's say you are a category A, which means, or category A and B, which means you are either good, average or below average. You could go into the mirror and look at yourself and tell there are about 100 million more people like you in this country. Really tough competition, very hard for you going forward. So going to US is almost like a no-brainer if you have access by way of US citizenship, green card or affordability. That's easier. Now if you're category C, that is if you're excellent, now there is some decision to be made because using intelligence as a predictor, you have equal chances to succeed whether you study in India or whether you study in the US. So which means you could take the route of going straight after 12th, or you could do your undergrad in India and then do your master's or doctorate or postdoctorate in the US. So both of them have their own little pros and cons, so you can decide for yourself what best suits your conditions and your situation and make a call. Now, what does that mean to the parent? Should you be sending your child to the US after 12th? Now, if you are the parent of a category A kind of a student, I think you're really helping them by sending to the US because like I said, they are going to be competing with 100 million others who are like them, and very, very difficult, very tough. Let's be honest here. So your decision is fairly easy. For B and C, that is something that the parent should do or want to do. You must try to find out or make your child prove to you, is your child determined to go to the US or simply wants to go to the US? There is a difference. Because after 12, at the age of 18, wanting to go to US, who are not like that, Free country, access to so many resources, affluence, so many things to try out. It's paradise for somebody at 18. So you want to check with them. It's not about whether you want to go, but are they determined to go? And when you do that, when you want to see how determined they are to go, you are going to see some of their traits. How hardworking is your kid? How many sacrifices are they willing to make in order to go to the US? What kind of maturity, what kind of decision-making skills do they demonstrate? And all of that combined with your affordability, you can take your call as if you should send them to US or not. Now comes the second question is, how do you pick a college? Now, if you're a category A, I've seen that generally it's not an issue because they are very realistic. They know where they fit in or where they're likely to get, and they kind of go after those colleges. It's the B category which are a little confused because they really don't know whether they should settle for a comfortable spot or should they aspire for something on the top. And for the C, it's like really hard for them because they know they belong somewhere to the top, but they know it's also a very difficult shot. There's a lot of information on the net about how do you choose a college. There are a lot of filters on College Board, on US News and Rankings, on niche.com. My only suggestion there is, if you are aiming for the best, keep that in your mind. Go for it. But just remember that when you go for an undergrad studies, that's only a stepping stone for your dream university. So let's say if somebody wanted to study at Harvard, you could go to a Harvard website and you look at the faculty profile there, you would find that a lot of them have done their undergrad in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Iowa, wherever their residence was.
The part 3 of the Scholarship Guide series shall consist of what filters to use to shortlist colleges, a mother's perspective on the going abroad journey, giving SAT and doing education in India, how do the students know what branch of education they should go into, what are the psychometrics, how do I make a movie about myself for college, how do I reach out for help. Stay tuned.